Hello, I'm out on another walk. This time I'm in Horsham in West Sussex, a market town, an old market town, now more of a commuter town. And I've come to Peel House in Bartolot Road. I want to just show you something. Can you see this? That is the old shield, and there's another one here, of a Victorian police station, built in 1897, I think it was, and behind me is the police station. This remarkable police station, as it does say up there, 1894, Peel House now, was the old Sussex headquarters of the police for 130 years. It stopped being a police station in about 1970, something like that. Now, I have a connection with this building, and so does a rather notorious figure from history, John George Haigh, the acid bath murderer. For in the cell, number 2 cell in that building in 1949, John George Haigh was held with a hearing pending in the town hall in Horsham. I used to work in that building in 1980. I worked there for a printing firm called Quick Print. I operated a print machine, and I believe the print machine was over the cells. It was obviously no longer a police station in 1980. 10 years it had stopped being a police station. But in 1949, below where I was one of the cells holding one of the most notorious characters from history, John George Haigh, the acid bath murderer. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what he did, and my strange tenuous link has another link, how I'm connected to John George Haigh, as we will see. Now, I'm coming into East Street in Horsham, and I just wanted to point out, because it's quite interesting, Horsham obviously has a whole load of history, but if you can see behind me now, there is a bridge. That bridge is known as the Iron Bridge. Trains from Horsham, London, Horsham and then Brighton go down to the Iron Bridge. Well, roughly there in the 1700s, around 1771 I think it was a jail, a notorious jail where people were hanged outside, and the people of Horsham would come and watch people being hanged, rightly or wrongly. Obviously that's before John George Haigh and anything like that, but there were 3 jails, and there's 2 more in the place called the Carfax. I'm going to do a video about the Carfax a little bit later on. I'm just going to cross the road here as I head down towards the town. So what can I tell you about the notorious acid bath murderer John George Haigh? Well, he was a dapper man in the 1940s, but he was a fraudster. He was down and out on his luck, and he needed some money, so he went to his former employer, William McSwan. William McSwan wanted nothing to do with him, so John George Haigh murdered him, and he'd come up with an idea on how to dispose of the body. He would put it in a drum. Thank you. He would put it in a drum of sulphuric acid and melt it. And that's what he did. And to his astonishment, it worked. He'd been in prison for some petty fraud things before, which he'd learnt of this scheme. He then managed to forge William McSwan's signature, got hold of his money, pretended to be him, and then his parents got a little bit suspicious of him. But that was nothing for John George Haigh. He just simply said, well, there's no problem. Come and meet me at William McSwan's flat in Gloucester Road in London, and I'll tell you all about it. Well, he didn't bother to tell them. He just killed them, put them in more barrels of sulphuric acid, and melted them. He again somehow managed to forge their signatures and got their money, and he was doing all right in 1945. Then he started to spend the money, and things became a little bit bad. So he needed some more money, and he got involved with another couple called the Hendersons. The Hendersons were a young couple. he managed to embroil himself with them, and then at the appropriate moment he murdered them and melted their bodies down. And like with McSwan, where he tipped the sludge and the remains of the bodies, he bunged them down into the drains. In 1949, again, he was hard up and he needed some cash. And so he was living quite luxuriously at a place called the Onslow Court Hotel in London. And there was another woman there at the Onslow Court Hotel in London called Olive Durrand-Deacon. She wanted to invest some money in a scheme, in a business deal. And he came up with a solution. He hired a little hut in Crawley, which Crawley is about 6, 7, 8 miles from here in that direction. He lured her to this tiny little hut in Leopold Road. He shot her in the head and then melted her body down. Now, the police had been a little bit suspicious about this character because people had been disappearing, but there was no bodies. And John George Haigh thought he was going to get away with it because there were no bodies. In the end, he was arrested and he was held here at what is Horsham's Old Town Hall. They say it's the Old Town Hall. I don't believe there is another town hall, but this is the Old Town Hall. I think originally built around 1771, something like that. It had a poultry and butter market downstairs, but in the upper portions there were the law courts for the assizes and the county sessions. It was at one point, I think, the county town of Horsham. And along here, as I'm walking now, John George Haigh was brought after his night in the cell in Bartolot Road, and he was taken up some steps. I don't know. Oh, I think they've removed the steps. I thought there were steps on the side here. Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, there they are. There are the same steps, and there are press photographs that you can see with him being led up these steps and taken away for the court hearing. Now, the interesting thing is that I also have been in this rather wonderful building when I was young and lived in Horsham. The only difference was I was going there for a jumble sale, so I wasn't being taken to court or anything. Horsham is a magnificent old town, as I say, with some beautiful properties, and again, like in my walks, it's lovely to have a little stroll round and explore some of the unknown and ancient places, like little alleys like this that take you into some very delightful buildings. So if you've enjoyed the video, do check out the website at baldexplorer.com for more. Check out the rest of my YouTube channels and give me a thumbs up, click the notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, goodbye.